Good morning, guys. Hope everybody's well. Markets are taking a little bit of a breather today. I think mostly because now the expectation for a rate cut in March this next month has gone away. And another thing that I saw was the expectations of 4 rate cuts versus 6, which was what in December. I never expected that. I was expecting 4 all along, probably a move down to between 4.25 and 4.5 in terms of interest rates by the end of the year, the Fed funds rate. So I think that expectation has essentially moved stocks a little bit down, but this is still a very resilient market. I wouldn't take this too much to heart. I would still expect that the markets would move a little bit down, but not that much. This is still a very resilient uptrend. So I'm expecting markets to be a good dip situation for people to be able to buy, but that could change. We will see as it goes along. One of the companies that showed up on the radar that has consistently been a good performer is Adobe. And while most of you people may know what Adobe is, what it does, what I wanted to do was spend a little bit more time looking at the complete suite of products that Adobe offers, see what the opportunity is for growth of each of them. How is the Figma acquisition or lack of the acquisition, the fact that they had to cancel the acquisition, what does that mean for Adobe, and how does it move going forward? So let's take a look at Adobe today. And first, we'll spend a little bit of time understanding their products, their market position, where they are, then into a 5-step analysis. Adobe essentially is a fairly old company. For most parts, they've been around for a lot of years, close to 30, 40 years. They started out, if you remember, mostly on the desktop side, building products that allow people to be able to do visualization, imaging. They bought Macromedia. They have Flash, if most of you guys remember that. That is a interactive platform for the web. They've gone through a lot of stuff. A lot of people know them for different things. Some people probably remember them because of Adobe PDF, the universal document format that everybody shares, which is part of their document cloud. Or a lot of people know them for the Creative Cloud, which is a suite of products aimed at creators, digital designers, user experience folks. So a lot of different people know them for that. And then a few people know them for the Marketing Cloud, what they call the Experience Cloud. They have a commerce acquisition that they did a few years ago of a company that is an open source product called the Magento, which provides their e-commerce solution, open source, but you can buy options for being able to get support. And they also have a suite of products for being able to do email marketing, document management, everything. So anything and everything within those 3 areas, Creative Cloud, Document Cloud, and Experience Cloud is what Adobe does. Okay, so you look at Creative Cloud. All of these products that Adobe has start with a freemium model, which is you can start for free, start using the product a little bit, and then as you need more capabilities, you move along. The Creative Cloud is primarily aimed at designers, and whether it's UX designers, UI designers, digital designers, and also creative people that want to be able to build and use products that allow them to be able to have that creative leverage. So Creative Cloud has a suite of products. All of these, I'll walk through a little bit in terms of the different types of products that they have. But Creative Cloud essentially gives the capability to be able to allow people, mostly designers, so the specialists, be able to build great images, Photoshops, documents, things of that nature. Document Cloud is mostly for collaboration of any kind of document, whether it's contracts, whether it's legal documents. What people usually do is Adobe also acquired a company that allows them to be able to digital signature. So they do compete with DocuSign to a certain extent. So within Adobe, you can do signatures. And what most of this focus on is for people who use it tend to be mostly small and medium businesses, but on the document side, a lot of people use it for just taking a Word document, creating it to PDF, sharing it with others, and being able to manage through that. So where they're moving towards in the document cloud is more allowing that document cloud to be experienced in other applications. And then finally, the Experience Cloud. This is marketing capabilities, email marketing. They also have a lot of e-commerce capabilities with Magento. So they're trying to broaden that set. They also have Adobe Analytics, which competes with Google Analytics. So a whole suite of products. And now where this also helps them is to be able to use AI across all of them. AI in the Creative Cloud is a new product called AI Firefly, Adobe Firefly. On the Document Cloud, it is document management, document generation, document summarization, document creation. And on the Experience Cloud, it's how do you use generative AI to create email marketing solutions, images for their Commerce Cloud, and other capabilities. So where they want to go, they're right now doing a fairly good revenue mix. So their cloud total addressable market just on the document side is about 32 billion. And on the Creative Cloud is about 65 billion, 63 billion to be specific. And the Experience Cloud is much larger, 110 billion. On the Document Cloud, they compete with Microsoft mostly, but a whole host of and a slew of other smaller companies as well. On the Experience Cloud, they compete with Salesforce. And on the Creative Cloud, they compete with a lot of new providers, primarily people such as Figma, people such as Canva, and those. So I use Canva a lot. I love it. Compared to Adobe Photoshop and Adobe's creative tools, I personally like Canva a lot. It's a lot easier to be able to use. Where they're trying to go is to move more people, allow more people to get in. So people like me who use Canva, who prefer Canva to any other solution, um, Adobe's trying their best to come to target people like me as opposed to the specialist who's a designer. And on the other side, they're trying to increase their time by being able to go to adjacent markets as well. So that's where their movement is right now. So one of the key things that you will see as we move more towards AI and digital transformation that a lot of people do is a lot of these require capabilities to be able to do creative things, whether it is new images, whether it's new descriptions for e-commerce projects, or whether it is an email marketing tool. They have a suite of products, including Firefly, which I mentioned already. You can use text, describe the kind of image that you want, and it generates images for you. Or you can bring in an image if you want to touch it up. Instead of using Photoshop, you can actually describe and say, change the background to yellow, change the background to blue, add the background of Christmas. They also have Gen Studio, which is more of a high-end product aimed at creative people, being able to change and make changes to your photographs that you take. And product analytics and omni-channel platform, these are more to be able to help people who are using e-commerce products to be able to scale effectively. Besides that, they have monetization capabilities to be able to scale their products across to a lot of organizations. You'll find that most of the company's products, Adobe's products, are used by individuals. Most of their customers are individuals. There are a few, obviously, very large customers that buy the whole suite of products. But where Adobe really shines is the individual creator, the small, medium-sized proprietor who wants to be able to use the products to create for others. So logo designers, Facebook image designers, or people that want to create Instagram reels, and so on. So their goal is how do we get more people who are on the digital document cloud, close to about 3 billion people. Everybody who uses some kind of document uses Adobe's PDF format. How do they bring them to paid format, and how do they bring them to the other products within Adobe? That's where they're trying to focus on. As I mentioned, they have a ton of products. Most of these are names that you would have heard of. Some of them are names you would have never heard of. So Photoshop, for example, take your photos, touch it up, manage it, create new photographs. Illustrator, similar thing. And then Dreamweaver to create complete websites if you need. I've used Dreamweaver quite a bit before, back in the day. Now it's much easier just to use an AI-based website creator. Document Cloud includes document management systems such as Adobe Acrobat, Acrobat Online. They have Behance, which is a portfolio display solution for a lot of people that are creative. So if you're a creative person and people say, hey, what have you created? You can actually store all of this in Behance and be able to show it very effectively to other people. So they have portfolio, they have stock images, anything that you can possibly think of, they have everything. A whole suite of products, or 30 to 50 different products. And some of them are just features within other products, but they have a whole suite of products to be able to help you across the design chain. So where they go is they start with freemium products. You can get in very cheap and very inexpensive, which is $0, and then move up the food chain all the way up to where you can buy the entire Creative Cloud, all of the apps for somewhere in the range of $50 to $90 per month, or Creative Cloud teams, where teams of people can collaborate with one another. And that essentially allows them to be able to get more people to use their products. So on the freemium side, in the Document Cloud, Adobe Acrobat, Adobe Reader is a web, and the Reader is the primary product. Then they go to standard, Adobe Pro, Adobe Acrobat overall, being able to transform documents, being able to change documents, sign documents, etc. And then on the freemium, on the Creative Cloud side, you can just use Firefly. Simple images created with a description, go down all the way to Creative Cloud applications where you can buy the whole suite. Remember, I talked about a whole suite of applications. All of these on the top line, some of them on the second line also can be essentially products that you can buy as part of a complete Creative Cloud package. It's a bundle. Or you can use Adobe Signatures, which is part of the Document Cloud as well. So all the way from freemium, someone gets in, tries it, and then go to the next step, which is buy a little bit. Buying a complete Creative Cloud application is you need, and Creative Cloud buy entire suite of applications. And then they can get you into being able to do enterprise-wide agreements if you need APIs to be able to automatically change images, be able to make changes to your internal cloud as well. So tens of thousands of enterprises use Adobe, mostly on the enterprise agreement side, and many small, medium businesses. That's where they really shine. Adobe Firefly is a new product. So this came out last year, 2023. And what it does is multiple set of things, but primarily you can describe the image that you want and it creates it for you. Or you can tweak your existing image. Let's say, for example, you have a photograph of a product that you have. The product might be, for example, a t-shirt, and you want to upload it and create a background in the Christmas theme. You can just upload that diagram, change the prompts, and say, I want to be able to create this image in a Christmas theme, and it gets that out for you. Very easy to use, just a simple prompt. For example, you can say, I want to be a dog in a format looking at myself. You can create a dog very quickly. Done a very good job of this, actually. I like it quite a bit. On the next side, which is Experience Cloud, which is commerce, Adobe acquired a product a few years ago called Adobe Magento. Now, this competes with a Shopify, this competes with a BigCommerce. The difference is Shopify is a completely hosted solution. They don't give the option for you to be able to host it yourself if you need it. Adobe Magento gives you a free cloud, a free version as well. So you can just download the open source version of Adobe Magento, run it on your own servers, and you don't have to pay Adobe anything. But most people essentially pay a license fee, so more sort of like a support fee to Adobe for being able to get new patches, new releases, support if things go wrong. Roughly about thousands, if not millions, of people use Magento. It doesn't have a lot of market share in the Experience Cloud on the high end, but in the mid-size, a lot of people started their chops using Magento first. Now, of course, Shopify is the #1 cloud solution used in the e-commerce side, followed by WooCommerce, followed by Wix, and a few others like Squarespace, and then way down on the list come other people like Salesforce Cloud, Commerce Cloud, and Adobe Commerce Cloud. But still, very useful solution. And they actually not only do the Commerce Cloud portion, but they also allow you to be able to do content, which is email marketing and personalize the experience. Okay, what are some of the big changes that are happening in the creative experience and the Commerce Cloud world? The first big thing, as all of you know, is AI. Now, AI allows the ordinary person, the layperson, to be able to create images, to create documents that previously would be something that could only be done by a specialist like a graphic designer. So that big change gives you a lot of capabilities to expand the total addressable market for Adobe. That's one of the reasons why they wanted to acquire Figma, which is more of an end user solution, layperson solution than an expert solution. Now that acquisition hasn't gone through, so Adobe had to pay $1 billion to Figma to terminate the acquisition. But a lot of people felt that acquisition was expensive. At 19 billion, what they had decided to pay, 1 billion is a much cheaper fee. That would have been overvalued significantly, at least 3-4 times. Instead, one of the big challenge for Adobe now is how do they create that experience? And they've started with Firefly, which is give you a simple capability to say, I want to create an image. Now, if you go to a Canva, if you go to a Figma, it's a lot different. You can create specific things. You want a YouTube thumbnail, you want an Instagram post, you want an Instagram reel. You can create all of those in those solutions. That'll be a little bit harder for Adobe to get to very quickly, but I think that's their path. That's the first one on AI side. A lot more video, short form video, long form video. People are pulling video in to be able to expand, create, change, manage, and develop to be able to put videos out on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, etc. A lot more e-commerce. We know that trend already. Magento is on top of that trend, giving the Adobe the ability to be able to expand that base. I think the challenge for them in each of these also, I'll explain that in a little bit. Movement towards 3D and imaging, being able to create products that you can look at it before you be able to go ahead and start to build it as well. The trends that happened before, web, mobile, cloud, were things that they had already in place, but now they're getting into the next level, which is AI era. Okay, so you can go all the way from the left-hand side, Creative Cloud, to personalize and power the experience, which is Experience Cloud. So that's the whole spectrum. And as you can see at the bottom, Adobe caters to students, consumers, all the way to enterprises. So they allow you the capability to be able to move across the value chain. A lot of people actually start using Adobe when they're in college. Some people use it even earlier than that when they want to be able to get an Adobe document to sign something. But the experience of being able to use Adobe products all the way from one end to the other is an amazing experience, which is why they're able to expand the base very well. Now, there are three layers. They take the data layer, which is the ability to be able to take platform and customization. On top of that, they build AI models, and then experiences and apps allow you to be able to interface with those models themselves, whether it is Firefly or other products. So that's why and how they're building this data model and apps and AI across all three clouds. The three most important of them being number one is the Creative Cloud, Document Cloud, and Experience Cloud. So they're pulling in data from third-party solutions of their own, building models on top of it, and then exposing them through apps and APIs. APIs usually enterprises use them. Apps is what most users use them for. So that's what they've been doing to a large extent. Okay, so one of the things that they allow you to be able to do very effectively and what they're focused on is helping not only people so within the marketing organizations, you'll have designers, you'll have creators, all of whom use Adobe already in some way, shape, or form. Now their goal is how do we allow you to be able to do this end to end, taking your creativity, making sure you can manage documents, then making sure that you can power the business itself. Okay, in the AI area, what are the key within these areas? What are the most important things? They used to focus more on websites and digital media, then content that can be shared on Instagram versus Facebook versus LinkedIn, things of that nature, what they call cross-platform, video and social, which is right now. And then the AI era, which is how do we personalize and localize the content? How do you create one image and then create multiple images out of that very quickly? Multimodal experiences is text, video, audio, voice, etc. And then immersive content on new surfaces, whether it's your Apple Vision Pro or immersive flat screen TVs and things of that nature. So Document Cloud and Creative Cloud, the ability for both of them to be able to move applications and data within each other is important for Adobe as well as they continue to be able to move it. The Document Cloud applications for them is the ability to create new documents. So you can say, write me a contract based on these things, or write me a document based on these things, or take documents from Adobe PDF and be able to give you insights based on those documents. There are a lot of people who do this already, but Adobe already has PDF, so this would be a logical good place for them to be able to move this forward. And then there are monthly active users that use this for free anyway. They might as well ramp them onto the AI side. Okay, so a big change for them is how do they go from millions of users to really getting to billions of users buying some products for them as opposed to the freemium alone. Most people would still know Adobe just for the PDF, Adobe PDF document format, but a lot of people in the creative side might know them for the Creative Cloud products, and even more people might know them, or even fewer people might know them for the Document Cloud and Experience Cloud, if you will. I don't think most people even realize Adobe has analytics, Adobe Analytics, which is a Google Analytics competitor, or Adobe Magento, which is an e-commerce Shopify competitor. So they're expecting that the content that is being created by creators is going to grow even further. We talked about the different products. You look at the products again in across the spectrum, make it easy for you to be able to onboard for free, whether it is Photoshop on the web or Firefly. Then you can go to Creative Cloud, Premiere Pro, Photoshop, again, you can download the product and use it. Then you go to the integrated services that allow you to be able to push your product out, or you can create your portfolio or your Behance profile, and then other services such as value-added services for 3D imaging, Frame.io, things of that nature. Okay, the Experience Cloud itself, number one is content and commerce. So this is being able to write web pages, create web pages, Adobe Magento for commerce, Adobe Analytics for insights and audiences, which is how do you get people that come to your website, add a little bit of a token, be able to share all that information and figure out how to do better. And then journey mapping, they allow you to be able to also create what your customer journey would be across the spectrum. And then planning and workflow, which is marketing automation. They don't do a great job of that yet compared to some of the other guys in the marketing automation side and workflow. There are a lot more companies. HubSpot does a better job than Adobe. CRM does a better job in some of these areas as well. And they have a lot of gaps in their solution. Summarizing for them, they meet more of their customers who are the early stage creators. They broaden their reach so that more people could use the simple products such as Adobe Express and Firefly for free and get started, and then move them down. So the spectrum is get people involved, simple free products to use, move them up the food chain, and then when they work with an enterprise, be able to expand that license overall. Okay, so They've been around for a long time, so it's not as if this company has been able to just start overnight. The thingy part in the last few decades has been how do you move to more subscription model. So 2014 they were doing about 4 billion in revenue. They moved to a subscription model. That was a big transition for the company. They moved more international. Mobile was a big addition, and then optimizing, and then finally going to more transformational capabilities. Now they're over 7 billion for the last quarter, so growing very, very quickly. Some of the key metrics, Adobe is doing very well, adobe.com, primarily because, as I mentioned, Firefly and some of the products such as Photoshop Web can be used there itself. They're increasing the number of users. They're generating a lot of images. So I think that essentially gives you good metrics on how they're trending up into the right. Very good company. I think you should definitely take a look at their products and maybe even the stock itself, consistent performer. So what does the flywheel look like from a digital experience standpoint versus creative standpoint versus document standpoint? More creators, they do personalization a lot more, they optimize, and that keeps growing forward. On the, as we talked about this as well, on the performance side, so the company is doing about $5.5 billion in revenue, about 23 billion in revenue on an annualized basis, 12% year-over-year growth. So that's decent growth. In the low teens would have been better, or even the mid-teens would have been better, which is what they are at 13. GAAP EPS about $3.23, and non-GAAP EPS about 4.27. About 20 billion to 23 billion, trading 12 months revenue is about 23 billion range, growing at about 10%. And I think the big challenge for them is still going to be how do they move and stay relevant in the context of more users trying to create images by themselves without having to go to Adobe directly for that. So whether it's Mid-Journey for creating images or whether it is using ChatGPT for documents, how do they get more into those application uses would be the key part. So that's Adobe, just to give you a little bit of context. What we're going to do now is to focus a little bit more on the 5-step process that we have. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so Adobe then, this is the monthly chart. Let's go to first the fundamentals, see where we are. Income statement, we always start on an annualized basis, roughly about 7 billion in revenue 2017. Remember, they were about 4 billion in 2014. So that transition to subscription model has done very, very well. Growing at about 20%, slowed down, moved up again during the COVID timeframe, jumped up to about 22%, and now back in the teens. So this is much slower growth than it was before. So you notice that now from the 20s growth, they've gone to the tens, double, almost barely double digits. So this is a challenge. Very good margins, though, 70%, 80% gross margins, and very good net margins in the 25% as well. So very strong margins. That's not the problem. They've clearly grown nearly 3 times, not as much, between 2.5 times or so in the last 8 years. Growth has definitely slowed. And almost, yeah, so it's hopefully starting to pick up back again. So from 8%, 9%, 13%. So this is a good trajectory. From the single digit growth, they've moved up to the double digit growth, which is a good sign. And you want to see this hopefully in the 15 to 17%, especially for the company the size of about $20 billion. Very good margins, 70, 80% gross margins, very good margins. The net side itself, 20, 25%. That's very good. Balance sheet is pristine. $29 billion, $4 billion in debt. What's their current assets? Roughly about 11 billion, more than enough to be able to manage strong cash flow. Yes, very strong cash flow. Dipped a little bit. Let's look at how their income statement is growing on a quarterly basis. So 26% annual income growth. So you're looking at about 11% to 13% quarterly growth on a quarter-over-quarter basis, and about 26% growth on the EPS basis. For that, you're paying 53. That's high. And then for price to sales of 15 because they have 86% gross margins. Look at that. That's phenomenal margins. 30% net margins, 86% gross margins. This is best in class. Adobe's probably number 1 or number 2 in terms of gross margins and net margins. The growth is not very good, but you're paying for the price to earnings. You're paying for growth in earnings because of strong margins, not necessarily because of growth in earnings themselves. And the price to sales ratio of 15, they're not growing very fast. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, probably give this still an 8. Pristine balance sheet, good the growth on the quarterly basis seems to be turning from the 8% range to the 13% range. Earnings are growing at about 20%, 25% range, so that's also good. So this one, in a monthly stock basis, where does it headed? So this is on a move up. You can see this is the stage 2 markup phase. That's a good sign, and it should get to its all-time high somewhere in the 692 time frame is the all-time. So that would be a resistance. There'd probably be a resistance even before that. Somewhere over here, 675 range, couple of tops, so multiple tops. You might get a two top somewhere over there. But on the lots on the sorry, monthly basis, it's still on an uptrend, on a stage 2 uptrend. So this is what a stage 2 uptrend this looks like. This is stage 1 consolidation, stage 2 markup, stage 4 decline, stage 1 markup, stage 2 markup as well, stage 1 consolidation period, stage 2 markup, stage 3, stage 4, and big stage 4. They went through a phenomenal stage 4 at this point. So you're going to see in the 675, and before that, there's probably a little bit of headwind in the 659 range. It's going to get there, but it's in the 659 range. I don't like the setup way too much on the weekly. I would have assumed it would have been in a bull flag. They had very good earnings that they declared. So this one is, let's see, this is the move up. And yeah, not exactly a bull flag. Would have liked to be able to have a bull flag there, but it's definitely on the, so that would have been a flag, would have been good to have a flag there, but that's not the case. That didn't happen. Okay, on the weekly chart, it's kind of topped. Let's remove some of these things. You definitely know that there is there is definitely resistance in the 670 range, even before the 675, 690, 705 is the all-time high, 705, yeah, somewhere in that range is the all-time high. So it's near its 52-week highs, seems to be having some amount of resistance over here, stretched from this point. So it's going to have to take a little bit of a break. On the weekly, on the daily basis, you'll see that it's in the weekly, it's a 52-week high, moved up, very strong earnings. Was after earnings it actually moved down, so this would have been a good chance and an opportunity. It doesn't ever get to, seems like the only time it got to it was in the May time frame. It got to 200 moving average. The moving averages are pointing nicely, not strong up, but this is not a stock that moves very quickly. The ITR seems to be up $3 for a stock, $600, $8 to $10. That's not bad at all. $5 to $10 seems to be the range. ATR, average true range, it moves up on a day-to-day basis. That's very small. That's 1%, 3% range. Now I can't see the last time. See, there are no big moves on this candle. This is not a stock that just rockets up or rockets down. It goes in a measured kind of an approach. You can see it because of its earnings profile, how far it's grown. RSI pointing down, not a good sign. This is okay. MACD is okay. So it's going to have some momentum, but it's not going to move. It's not going to move dramatically higher in the midterm. So 637 even seems to be a little bit of resistance. I would expect it to actually come down to the 600 zone, 600, 602 zone. Watch for it to come down to the 602 zone before anything else. But not much more, maybe a little bit beyond that if you look at what's been happening in the January timeframe. But after that, it should head back up. This was the strong move up after this was because of the day they announced that they're going to get out from the Figma acquisition deal. Good strong move. I like the stock. It's not a it's not a bad place to be, but yeah, a couple of touches here. I wouldn't be surprised if I see a move back up on the daily chart to come back to the 600 zone. And if the market is bad, probably goes down a little bit more, but not much beyond that. So expect it to come down to the 600 zone and then make a move back up, hopefully after or closer to the earnings to the 670 range. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate your comments especially. So let me know what you think of Adobe.